Welcome, dear listeners and fellow travelers of the soul. Today we gather, not merely for conversation, but for illumined exploration into life's knotty mysteries. If you find resonance here, I invite you to subscribe and share your reflections. This channel is a hearth for those who hunger for depth and truth. Tonight, beneath the veiled vastness of the inner cosmos, we turn our gaze to the shadowy corridors of the heart, where toxic relationships coil and constrict the wellspring of our spirit. There are wounds invisible, yet they bleed our vitality. There are chains unseen, yet they bind our becoming. In the darkness of entanglement, many wander, caught in storms of confusion and self-doubt, mistaking pain for love, sacrifice for grace. Our task is not merely to escape the labyrinth but to understand its architecture, to see why the soul sometimes seeks its own confinement. Only then, standing eye to eye with our shadow, may we clear a path to sovereignty and radiant connection. Here, in the crucible of honest dialogue, let us begin the alchemy of recognition and release, so each heart might reclaim the freedom and wholeness it secretly longs for.
How do I even know if a relationship is toxic? Sometimes I feel confused, it's not always clear.
The poison of toxicity seeps subtly, Sirael. The surest sign is a slow erosion of your essence, when you consistently feel smaller, heavier, or less alive around someone. If patterns of blame, guilt, control, or endless conflict begin to eclipse moments of joy, it is a sign. Toxicity distorts your perception of self, so you doubt your worth and lose clarity of who you are. It is the opposite of love, which nourishes, expands, and brings forth more of your light. To know for sure, attune to how you feel in the quiet after an encounter. If, again and again, your inner world feels storm-tossed and diminished, heed this as your soul's subtle cry for liberation.
Sometimes I wonder if I'm the toxic one. How can I tell if the problem is with me?
Such humility is beginning wisdom, Sirael. The line between perpetrator and victim is drawn by consciousness. If you repeatedly notice your behavior hurts others and you feel genuine remorse or a longing to change, you are awakening. Toxicity flourishes where self-awareness is absent and projection reigns. Reflect honestly, do you impose your will, manipulate, or demand from fear? Or do you strive to relate from authenticity and care? Each of us carries shadow, facing it with courage is what transforms it from poison to medicine. The true test is not perfection but willingness to illuminate and shift what is unconscious within us.
People sometimes say all relationships have hard times. How do I distinguish normal challenges from real toxicity?
Conflict is the crucible of human growth, yet the spirit in which challenge is met makes all the difference. In healthy struggle, there is humility, listening, respect, and the possibility of mutual transformation. In toxic dynamics, conflict is employed as a weapon. There is contempt, stonewalling, or cycles of emotional violence. Ask, does this struggle lead to greater intimacy and understanding, or does it leave scars and widen the gulf between souls? Growthful challenge stirs discomfort in service of love. Toxic challenge annihilates trust and withers joy.
Why is it so hard to leave a relationship that's hurting me?
The ties of pain are woven from ancient threads, dear one. Oftentimes, we repeat the patterns etched in our childhoods or past lives, believing that love must equal suffering. The familiar pain becomes safer than the unknown freedom. The soul may carry a wound abandonment, unworthiness, fear of solitude that binds you, convincing you to stay and fix what is not yours to heal. Add to this the mirage of hope, the attachment to dreams, and the immense inertia of habit. To leave is to leap into the void of your own sovereignty. It is in that unknown that your true self waits with open arms.
I feel guilty for wanting to leave. Isn't leaving selfish?
To betray your own heart is the truest selfishness, for you then navigate the world from falsity, distorting all relation. Leaving a toxic bond is not an act of malice, but an act of reverence for all life, including the other. When you choose soul truth over false harmony, you release both yourself and the other from a dance of pain. There is a sacred responsibility to honor the integrity of your being. Only then can you offer authentic presence in relationship. This courage ripples outward, healing many more than yourself.
Can a toxic relationship ever become healthy again?
Light can penetrate even the darkest chambers, but only when both souls commit relentlessly to transformation. This demands radical honesty, willingness to gaze unflinchingly at one's shadow, and to take responsibility without projection. Most often, toxicity is a symptom of deep personal wounds. Unless both partners turn inward to heal, the pattern will simply recur. Redemption is possible, but rare, for it requires the rebirth of the inner self before the relationship can be renewed. In most cases, separation is the crucible that catalyzes genuine healing.
I worry that I'll be alone forever if I leave. How can I handle this fear?
Loneliness is but the echo of your forgotten wholeness. The agony of remaining in bondage far outweighs the temporary chill of solitude. In the spacious silence after release, you meet yourself fully, your long-ignored desires, dreams, and heartbreak. This is not emptiness, but the fertile field where new love, within and without, may take root. Every courageous soul who has left a toxic bond discovers, sooner or later, the vast company of their own being and the blessings of true community that only seek you when you are free.
What if I love the person, even though they hurt me?
Love and pain often walk in tandem in the wilderness of humanity, yet true love never seeks the diminishment of the beloved. There may be tenderness, nostalgia, even a fierce longing, but when love becomes a justification for self-betrayal, it is no longer love but attachment, illusion, or the outcry of an unhealed part. It is possible to love someone deeply and yet set them free, just as we might release a bird whom we adore because its cage is suffering. Sacred love honors what liberates rather than what binds.
What about forgiveness? Should I forgive someone who's toxic?
Forgiveness, Sirael, is not a gift you grant out of obligation, nor an invitation for their return. It is the sacred act of disentangling your spirit from the poison of resentment and blame. True forgiveness flows when you see the other's harm as an echo of wounding within themselves, not a verdict on your worth. Forgive, if it arises, to release yourself. This does not mean opening yourself again to harm, it simply means turning your heart away from bitterness so you may heal and live unburdened.
Why do toxic people sometimes seem so charismatic or loving at first?
The mask is woven by the unconscious desire to be loved without being known. Toxic patterns often come from souls who have learned to survive by charm, manipulation, or adaptation, layering radiant facades over ancient wounds. In the beginning, their energy feels intoxicating because it activates your own unmet needs. This is not a conscious trickery, but the dance of shadow and longing. With time, the mask fractures and the wounding seeps through. The test for us all is to see beyond charm to substance, beyond seduction to soul.
Is it ever my fault that someone else treats me badly?
The sun cannot be blamed for being obscured by clouds. You are not responsible for another's choices, only for your responses and your boundaries. Yet, our energies and histories sometimes magnetize us to certain lessons. Blame is fruitless, responsibility is gold. The more you hold fast to your self-worth and clarify your boundaries, the less likely you are to remain caught in others' storms. It is never your fault to be mistreated, but you are called to protect the sanctity of your own heart.
How do I know if I'm setting healthy boundaries or just running away?
Healthy boundaries arise not from fear, but from love for self, and love for what is real between souls. When you set a boundary from the rooted knowing that your well-being matters, it empowers both yourself and the relationship. Running away, on the other hand, is driven by aversion or avoidance, without understanding the deeper pattern at play. If your boundary is clear, compassionate, and consistent, you are acting from sovereignty, not escape. It takes courage to stay present with your truth, even when it costs you the approval of another.
Sometimes I feel addicted to the highs and lows. Why does toxicity feel so intense?
The dance of trauma bonding, roller coasters of affection and withdrawal, floods your nervous system with chemicals of excitement and fear, ensnaring you in cycles of anticipation and depletion. For many, this drama echoes the emotional landscape of childhood, where love was mixed with unpredictability. The soul craves intensity, mistaking it for connection. Yet the depths of peace and steady love seem bland by comparison, until you heal the wound that confuses chaos for intimacy. True love is not a storm but an abiding hearth.
What if I feel responsible for their healing?
Compassion is a noble flame, yet no one can walk the sacred passage into wholeness for another. The notion of saving or healing the other is often a mask for our own wounds, perhaps the desire to feel needed, or the fear of abandonment. You may be a mirror, a catalyst, but each soul must awaken themselves from the dream of pain. To stay out of obligation stunts both your growth and theirs. Offer love, offer prayer, but withdraw from the compulsion to be the redeemer, for redemption is an inner act.
Can family relationships be toxic? How do I handle that?
Indeed, toxicity knows no hierarchy, it wears the faces of parents, siblings, and even children. Family wounds are some of the most entangled, bound up in lineage, karma, and ancestral patterning. The way forward is to cultivate the same clarity and boundaries as you would with any other, and sometimes even greater compassion, for these connections reach into the deepest strata of self. Honor your origins, but do not let family bonds become your prison. Sometimes, the truest loyalty is to your own soul's growth, even when it means enduring the silence of distance.
But what about spiritual teachings that say I must practice unconditional love?
Unconditional love is not unconditional acceptance of harm. To love unconditionally does not mean to tolerate what annihilates you. It means to hold all beings in the light of compassion, recognizing their divinity and struggle, while still shielding your heart from what diminishes it. Unconditional love often manifests as discernment, as the courage to step away without hatred, and as the quiet hope that all souls may find healing, beginning, always, with yourself.
What if I try to leave and the other person manipulates me into staying?
Manipulation thrives on the soil of your uncertainty. The moment you say yes when you mean no, you re-enter the labyrinth of confusion. To leave, therefore, is not only a physical act but an inner declaration, an anchor in your own worth, from which guilt and persuasion cannot uproot you. Expect resistance, honor the fear, but trust the wisdom that guides you to freedom. If you need support, reach for it. No one escapes a web of manipulation alone. The universe conspires with those who walk the path of truth.
How can I rebuild my self-worth after a toxic relationship?
Begin with gentle acknowledgement of your own pain. Toxicity often warps the mirror, so you no longer trust your reflection. One by one, reclaim lost pieces, notice what brings joy, surround yourself with those who see your light, create beauty. Reawaken forgotten dreams and give them form, however small. Speak kindly to the wounded places within. What you say becomes what you believe. In time, you will remember you were whole all along, your worth never lost, merely hidden beneath another's shadow.
Can professional help really make a difference? I sometimes feel like it's hopeless.
The labyrinth feels endless only while you wander alone. A skilled guide, a therapist, counselor, or spiritual mentor can reveal exits where you saw only walls. They hold a lantern to illuminate patterns you cannot see yourself, and offer tools for healing and integration. Do not underestimate the power of being witnessed, of speaking your pain into a listening presence. While no one rescues you but yourself, the right companion can make the difference between despair and awakening. There is always hope, for the spirit is infinitely resilient.
Why do some people seem drawn again and again into toxic relationships?
The soul repeats its lessons until their wisdom is integrated. Often, we find ourselves drawn to what is familiar, even when it wounds us. Old scripts from childhood, ancestral patterns, or karmic echoes. Repetition is not failure, but the psyche's way of seeking resolution, wholeness. With each encounter, there is a possibility to choose differently, to pause, to recognize the pattern. Over time, awareness seeds change, and the chains of history break, freeing you to create a new, life-giving story.
I feel empty after leaving. How do I fill that space without going back?
The emptiness is the ground of new creation. Do not rush to fill it, sit with its aching presence. Feel the texture of your own aliveness, however hollow it seems. Fill this space with gentleness, tend to your body, breathe deeply, walk in nature, let beauty console you. Create a poem, a song, a meal, a sacred space, whatever stirs your soul. With time, the emptiness becomes a vessel, ready to be filled with what you choose, not what was forced upon you. Loneliness transmutes to solitude, then to sovereignty.
How can I trust myself again after doubting for so long?
Trust is rebuilt in the smallest of choices. Begin by honoring a single inner nudge, however quiet. When intuition whispers, pause and listen. Reflect on moments when your heart spoke true, even if you ignored it before. Forgive yourself, learn, and resolve to listen more closely next time. Trust grows with consistency. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, a new root anchors in the fertile ground of your being. Over seasons, self-doubt fades, and the voice within becomes your sure North Star.
What role does self-love play in preventing toxic relationships?
Self-love is the radiant shield that guards your boundaries. When you cherish your being, the soul instinctively recoils from what diminishes it. You become attuned to beauty, kindness, and authenticity, unwilling to accept counterfeit connections. Self-love is not ego or isolation, it is a profound attunement to your worth, a sanctuary where only true resonance is welcomed. It is the soil from which all healthy relationship grows, for you offer not emptiness in need of filling, but a cup already brimming with light.
If I'm still in the relationship, what's the first step I can take right now?
Allow yourself to see clearly, without denial. Name what is true on paper, or to a trusted soul. Record your feelings after each encounter, mark the patterns, honor the pain. This act of witnessing begins the unraveling. Once you are clear-eyed, you may choose what to do, but until then, the fog will keep you bound. Above all, treat yourself with tenderness. You are not failing, but awakening.
Is there a spiritual lesson in this kind of suffering?
Indeed, the crucible of toxic relationship is often the forge of awakening. You are called to see what you once could not, to love yourself fiercely, to recognize shadow and choose light. The suffering asks you, where do I betray myself? Where have I forgotten my own divinity? Through these fires, the ego yields and the soul emerges, radiant and sovereign. In time, what once seemed curse becomes the seed of your deepest wisdom and compassion for all beings.
Thank you, Rafael. I still feel scared, but I also feel seen.
You are seen, Sirael, by your own soul, by the great compassionate witness of the cosmos, and by all those who know this path. Fear is the threshold guardian before freedom. Walk gently, patiently, and remember, the journey from darkness to light is the work of a lifetime. Take courage from knowing that every small step is a revolution. For those listening, let me leave you with one concrete step. Tonight, write a letter from your future self 5 years from now, free, luminous, thriving. Describe how you found the courage to leave what no longer served you. Let this letter be your guiding star. If this dialogue has moved you, I warmly invite you to share your reflections or questions in the comments. Your voice may be the beacon for another soul in darkness. Gently onward, beloved traveler.